In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my witchy and spiritual books and bookshelves. So if you're interested to see what's in my collection now, then do get yourselves a nice hot drink and settle back, relax and enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope that you're well and safe and looking after yourselves. In today's video I wanted to share with you my witchy bookshelves because if you have seen my channel before you know that I moved house about 5-6 months ago and we've been slowly unpacking our spare rooms, and I very recently got out a whole load of books that were in storage for a while and set up another bookcase with those books unpacked and put away there. I have got a lot of books at the moment and not enough shelf space, and I'm always getting more because I work with the Witch's books and the Witch's book, and I am always wanting to read more and always wanting to buy more. I also do have a subscription to Audible, so I do listen to audiobooks as well, so I have a lot going on, but I do not have that much time to actually read. So when I do read, I have to be really efficient with it, and I have to sort of carve out time because I work and I'm a mum of two. I tend to read in the evening times and at the weekends, and when I do read I need to carve out time to do that, as well as separate time for studying reading. But I do tend to read mostly in the evening before bed, and sometimes there are some books that I'm reading that can be a little bit more challenging in the evening times, but I always do have a bookmark and a pencil, and I do write in my books, so there are only a few exceptions to that if they are sort of very precious books, but I do tend to mark my books. I use them practically and I like to make notes in the margins and such. I find that I'm just able to use them more efficiently then. I have a reading list as long as my arm and it's always growing, and I really wish that I could read faster or read more, but my time is limited because I am a mum of two small children. We're having currently some sort of challenging experiences with our daughter at the moment, and things are really quite difficult, so we're attending other things in addition to normal life. Then there's work and home, and then just feeling like a human being, as well as all the other things that I want to be able to do and achieve. It's not all possible all at one time. So I know I've talked about setting up my business to offer tarot readings, and it's still something I really want to do. It's just at the moment, like, having the time to set up a business, it's not really realistic already having a job and then being mum and having all of the extra things that I want to be able to study and achieve myself for my practice, and then, you know, YouTube and Instagram and just keeping it going really. So I love what I'm doing, but my life is very full, and so I have to recognise that there's a limit to the amount that I can read, and that's why I love Audible as well, so I'm able to read other books that I might not necessarily purchase hard copies of, or I may purchase. There are some audiobooks that I have hard copies of as well as the audiobook, such as some classics that I have read years ago that I loved, then I picked them up on audiobook when they became available because I wanted to be able to listen to them again. And so it's really nice to have those options, and I love that. So I'd really suggest that if you are limited on time as well, and putting Audible on when you're doing housework and such, and driving in the car, I do that as well. So I'm trying to use as much time to absorb information and knowledge, but then also it's so important to have time that's quiet where you can sit with your own thoughts, and meditation and taking it back to like breath work this year has been so important for me. And my word of the year this year was boundaries. It still is, and it's actually really interesting how it's become such an important thing for me because of certain events and certain experiences that I've had already this year. Boundaries is such an important word for me, and yeah, it just came suddenly, and I knew that that was the word that I needed and that my family needed, and it's becoming more and more the case. So yeah, I'm really glad that I sort of had that foresight and I was able to kind of start preparing for that, but it's a kind of continuous process that I'm embracing that. Anyway, I'm sort of waffling about my practice a little bit now, but I do want to get into just showing you the bookshelves, and I'm really pleased with one specific bookshelf because I colour coordinated it a few months ago and I just absolutely love it. Then I do have books in here that I like to refer to. There are a couple here that are on my reading list that are just in here because I want to make sure I sort of pick them up next without sort of getting distracted by something else. But then there are other books that I have read that I just like to have here to refer to because I'm kind of practicing with them at the moment, or going deeper into things, or journal prompts and such. I always have a couple of books over there that I am working on at the moment. I absolutely love reading. It's one of my favourite things to do, and as a writer as well, it's something that's really important for me. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm rambling so much, but I'm going to flip the camera around now and share with you my bookshelves and all the books that kind of dotted around home that are spiritual or witchy or esoteric, occult related. Get yourselves a nice drink if you haven't already, and enjoy. Okay, so let's start over here. We are currently in the spare room, and this is my main bookshelf, and it has been organised, as you can probably tell, in some kind of colour coordinated way. However, there are some books that I have removed since I first organised this a few months ago. So any books that have been removed are in my bedroom area, which is where I mainly read. So in my bedroom space, I have books that I'm currently reading, as well as books I want to read, as well as books that I've read and I'm still referring to, or that I am looking into for reference when I'm devising any recipes or practices or planning anything. So over here, these are books that I just come to as and when I need. So I did want to put things in some form of like category order, but with the colours I just couldn't do that. So it's colour coordinated. And the reason that it's a little bit wibbly is because my kids always come in here and like push things around. So you can see I've got a complete guide to the tarot by Eden Gray, protection of the astral body, cycle of Isis, moon magic, complete book of tarot, sigil witchery, witchcraft and folklore of Dartmoor, astral projection. I would definitely recommend this book. Practical Candle Burning Rituals, again, another really great book. Witch's Book of Self-Care, Druids, I haven't read this one yet. Spells and Psychic Powers, Moonology, Owning Your Own Shadow, Laurie Cabot's Power of the Witch, Celtic Divinational, Aromatherapy for Women, another little aromatherapy book, Condensed Chaos, Everyday Magic, Protection Spells, Path of the Christian Witch, Jambalaya, I've not read this either, The House Witch, Wicca, Water Witchcraft, Path Through the Forest, Cottage Witchery, Sacred Round, Circle of Stones, Working with Fairies, Green Witch, Honouring Your Ancestors, A Pictorial Key to the Tarot, Fire Magic, this came with a witch's box, the British Book of Spells and Charms, Dream Spells, the Herb book by John Lust, Alfred Douglas, The Tarot, Drawing Down the Moon. I haven't read this one, this is My Grandmother's Hands. Northern Magic, Charms, Spells and Formulas, Urban Magic, again one that came through the Witch's box. Medium, Magical Power for Beginners, Kitchen Witch, Grandma's Remedies, Scent of Lemon and Rosemary, again this came through the Witch's box. Little Book of Feng Shui, I was gifted this. Witchfinders, Celtic Magic, the Natural Remedy Bible. Over here we have Ogham, Weaving Word Wisdom, Way of the Fairy Shaman, The Self-Worth Path by Lisa Papez on YouTube, Compendium Maleficarum, Mysteries of the Dark Moon, that's an amazing book, would really highly recommend that book. Tarot and the Archetypal Journey, Shapeshifter Tarot. I will say some of my tarot books are in my tarot cabinet, so not all the tarot books that pertain to particular decks are here, but some of them are. Mythology for a Magical Life, again this was from the Witch's box. Yule, that's a lovely book by Dorothy Morrison. Witchcrafting by Phyllis Curott, Magical Household, Practical Astral Projection, Hedge Witch. This is Aradia here, this is Oracle Alchemy, The Spiral Dance, Mindful Path to Self-Compassion, Healing Night, The Witching Herbs, Witchcraft and Magical Spells, Sacred Woman. Here, Matrix Energetics, I've not read this, I found this in a second-hand shop. John O'Donoghue, Eternal Echoes, The Tombow Cunha, Light Magic for Dark Times by Blood, Bone and Blade, that is a devotional text to the Morrigan. Stars Within You, Witchcraft for Tomorrow, I love that book. Keeping Her Keys, Fire Jewel, a devotional for Freya. Medium white book for the Spirit Keeper's Tarot, A Witch's Bible, Silent as the Trees, again another amazing book. I mean, a lot of these are amazing books. Some of them I wouldn't probably recommend. The Morrigan by Morgan Daimler, Spirit Speak by Ivo Dominguez, Soul Retrieval, The Book of Thoth, The Real Witch's Handbook by Kate West, Glamour Magic, that is a really brilliant book. Avalon Within, I haven't read this one yet. Plant, Lore, Legends and Lyrics, Green Wrath of the Thorn-Blooded Witch, Holistic Tarot. There's a cat here, so if you see a tail, that's who it is. The Witch's Coin by Christopher Penczak, Wicca, Scott Cunningham, of course, Practical Prosperity Magic, that's a really good book. Herbal Alchemist's Handbook, again, that was from the Witch's box, as was The Witch's Coin. Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, of course, Wild Magic, Blackthorn's Botanical Magic, amazing, Entering Hecate's Garden, Fairycraft by Emily Carding, Celtic Lore and Spellcraft of the Dark Goddess. I really love this book. I know some people don't rate it, but I do. Celtic Plant Magic, Folk Witchcraft by Roger J. Horn, lovely book. Witch and Every Woman by Laurie Cabot, Treading the Mill, Modern Witchcraft Spellbook, I wouldn't recommend this one probably. Wild Magical Soul, again from the Witch's Box, Understanding Crowley's Thoth Tarot, Your Tarot Court by Ethne, Celtic Tree Magic by Daniel Forrest, I love that book as well. Tarot History, Symbolism and Divination by Robert M. Place, Healing Power of Trees, I haven't read that one yet, but I'm so excited to read that one. Fairies and Magical Beings by Cassandra Eason, A Spell in the Wild by Alice Tarbuck, Moontime by Lucy H. Pierce, Witch, A Magical Journey by Fiona Horn, which is one of the first books I ever read, Psychic Vampires, Essential Oils and Aromatherapy, Fairy Magic, Spell Weaving, Earth Magic, 365 Tarot Spells. Here we have Circle Round. This is Love is in the Earth. It's an amazing crystal book. I love this. The Goddess Guide, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus. I've still not read this one yet either. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. The Book of the Great Queen. I love this book as well. I would highly recommend this one first, as well as the Morgan Daimler Pagan Portals book for the Morrigan. So over here we have Cartomancy, Culpepper's Complete Herbal, Wicca, A Year and a Day, Real Witch's Kitchen. Some Kate West books were the first books I ever read, so this has like sentimental value. Witchcraft Medicine, this is an amazing book. Teen Witch, yeah, sentimental thing again. Treasury of Witchcraft, Learning the Tarot by Joan Bunning, Tarot 101, Craft by Dorothy Morrison, again one that has some meaning for me nostalgically. The Living Temple of Witchcraft by Christopher Penzac, a Wicca Hen book, Green Witchcraft, great book, Complete Tricks, Witchcraft Theory and Practice, Psychic Witch, Rebel Witch, Letters from the Devil's Forest, I haven't read this one yet. Complete Book of Incenses, Oils and Brews, Witchcraft in England, Candle Burning Rituals. I do like this book as well, actually. Mastering Witchcraft, amazing. The Candle at the Crossroads, Everyday Psychic Defense by Cassandra Eason, I love that. The Witch's Ointment, I haven't read this one yet, nor this one. Operative Witchcraft by Nigel Pennick. Over here we have Denise Alvarado's The Voodoo Hoodoo Spellbook, Mary Magdalene Revealed, 78 Degrees of Wisdom. This one is The Kabbalion. The Ultimate Guide to the Rider-Waite Tarot, The Middle Pillar, The Witch's Book of Spirits and The Witch's Book of Power. I really enjoyed Evan Hunter's work. Dark Goddess Craft, Mystical Origins of the Tarot, Spirituality and Art Therapy, The Witch's Path, I love this book. Animal Magic, The Hearth Witches Compendium, I like this one a lot as well. Neil's Yard's Remedies, lovely book. Witch's Will of the Year by Jason Mankey, I love this book. Tarot Correspondences by T. Susan Chang. To Ride a Silver Broomstick, again that's kind of nostalgic. Real Witches, Book of Spells and Rituals by Kate West, again a nostalgic book. And Essential Oils from Neil's Yard as well, which is really, really good. Then over here we have some books that have arrived recently. These were from the Witch's box. So Hex Twisting, this was from the latest box, an unhexing box. Witches, Heretics and Warrior Women, Earth Magic, Warrior Magic, The Noble Art, Fiber Magic and So Witchy. Then these books are books that were in storage before, so I haven't really had them out for a while. So I have some classic books here on motherhood, babies and love. This is a poetry book of love. I absolutely love poetry. This is the only tarot book you'll ever need. I probably wouldn't rate this one or recommend it. The Runes, The Mists of Avalon, Junior Witch's Handbook. I picked this up for my daughter, but for some reason it's here and not in her room. Mindful Beauty, I haven't read this one, I won this one actually. 101 Things for Kids to Do Outside, that's a nice book. Meditation, I haven't read this one actually, I won this. Astrology for Beginners, this is a nice place to start, I did enjoy this. Dream Dictionary, it's kind of again nostalgic, I don't really refer to this but I had one when I was a child, so I picked this up as nostalgia. Magic and the Law of Attraction, You Can Heal Your Life, Pendulum Dowsing. Witching, this was the first book I ever read by Fiona Horn and it has a lot of sentimental value to me. Carl Gustav Jung, Four Archetypes and Modern Man in Search of a Soul. The Secret, again probably wouldn't recommend that. Little Book of Cat Magic, this is really sweet. I bought this when one of my cats passed away. Romancing the Ordinary, this is one of the witchiest books I have without being at all witchy. So it actually has spells in it, but it's not a witchcraft book. Essentially this book is about loving your life and romancing everything. So it goes through a year, and for a long time this kind of was a support for me in terms of my mental health, and I absolutely love it. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. Life-Changing Magic of Tidying, this is really, really witchy. Women Who Run with the Wolves. Over here we have Wildflowers and Trees, Blake's Songs of Innocence and Experience, Wiccan Spellbook. This came from a subscription box at one point. Pamroads, this is actually a Christian book. This one belonged to my grandma, so I keep this here. Herbs and Healing Plants of Britain and Europe. Step by Step Tarot by Terry Donaldson. Me and White Supremacy by Layla Assad. Complete Lenormand Oracle Handbook, haven't read this. Mariah Carey, of course. Witch's Journal, I wouldn't really recommend this, it's quite basic, but I thought maybe my daughter might like it. Sweat Your Prayers and Maps to Ecstasy by Gabrielle Roth, I love these. This is about the 5 rhythms, if you've ever heard of that practice. It's a beautiful like ecstatic dance practice, really embodied sort of practice, really, really beautiful. I attended some classes when I was younger and it's just an incredibly immersive and transformative experience. Essential Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks. The Message, which is a remixed Bible that I had when I was in my teens. I do have another Bible somewhere as well, but I'm not sure where it is. Poetry Pharmacy, this is so beautiful, my mum bought me this. So different poetry for different ailments. Leo Gebran, Joy of Sex, Celtic Wisdom Tarot book. I actually have this twice. This is The Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard, I love that. Secret Garden colouring book, which I had when I was younger. And then down here we've got a book on Marilyn Monroe that was my grandfather's, so it's really, really special. It's got a lot of sentimental value. And then a book on ancient Egypt I had when I was a teen that's really, really special for me as well. Then I've got Journey to Mindfulness at the top there. Awakening the Heroes Within. This is like archetypes again. Element Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells, of course, by Judith Illes. Encyclopedia of Goddesses and Heroines. The Tarot. Hands of Light. This is a book I picked up at the end of last year, secondhand, to read to support my Reiki practice. Buckland's Big Blue Book, of course. Modern Magic, which I've not read. The new complete Astrology. Collins' Photographic Key to the Trees of Britain and Northern Europe. And then I've got Christian Dior and then Fairy Reality down there, which is like a fairy book. I haven't got all of my art books out. Some of them are in the garage, quite a lot of them actually. My mum's an art teacher, so I have quite a lot of art and fashion books, but these are just some of the ones I wanted to keep inside. Here I have this out at the moment because I did a reading with the Fairies Oracle, so that's just on my altar space. And then this is where it starts to go a little bit nuts. I have my books up here for my astrological studies. So I'm currently taking a course with Heather's Astrology. And so I had this printed. This is the course materials, essentially. So I had it printed and bound on Lulu. And this is my exercise book. Then I've Hellenistic Astrology, Chris Brennan. This is my Reiki folder down here. And this I picked up from the Works earlier this year because it was just a couple of pounds. And it's basically a guided journal. I haven't used it yet, but I thought maybe there might be some nice journal prompts in there to use, and just it might be nice to pick up if I feel like a low energy or anything. That's all right there. Then Sex Witch, I read this recently and absolutely loved it. It's there because there are a couple of things I want to try. This is The Mysteries of the Black Madonna book. Reveal by Megan Waterson. Medicinal Herbs by Rosemary Gladstar. The Victorian Romantic Tarot, this arrived recently and I love it. Spells for Change, I read this year as well. Again, I picked it up from the Works and I read it just like in a day or two. And it's a very simple, very basic book. Druid's Herbal, I refer to this for like all the Sabbats, so I have this here. This is another one I picked up recently from the Works. I haven't read this yet, but it's a historical text basically. And yeah, it's supposed to be very good. Spellbinding. Sex, Sorcery and Spirit by Jason Miller, so I'm reading this currently. Poison Path Herbal. This is one of my favourite books I read like several months ago. I can't remember if it was the end of last year now or if it was the beginning of this year, but this is such a great book. It's here to refer to as and when I need to if I'm creating any recipes. Casting Sacred Space. This is Ivo Dominguez. This was from the Witches box. And 4 Elements of the Wise as well by Ivo Dominguez. Christian Candle Magic. I saw this on Mary Grace Farron's channel and I thought I would give this a go. Plants of the Devil. A Deed Without a Name. The Astrologer's Handbook, I refer to this a lot, and The Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler. So these are books that I'm kind of referring to, some that I want to read and some that I'm sort of working through as well. So I have a lot of books in here, especially right now. I think I need to put some of these back really because it's starting to look quite chaotic. And over here, Tarot for Relationships. I dipped in and out of this a few times recently. Sex Spells, Keys to Perception by Ivo Dominguez Jr. This is such a great book for psychic development and I'm sort of dipping in using the exercises again, so I have this out here. Planetary Magic, I'm referring to this a lot as well. This is a book I picked up recently, Between the Realms and A Ring Around the Moon. I picked these up from Glastonbury recently, so I want to read these. This is one of the books of the law of the Morrigan, and this is Morgan Daimler. How to Pray the Rosary and Get Results. I have Traditional Witchcraft. I'm not sure why that's there. I think I was probably referring to it because I read that last year. Druid's Herbal of Sacred Tree Medicine. I picked this up recently. Actually ended up getting 2 copies accidentally, and so gave one to a friend. I have Drawing Down Belial. I haven't read this yet, but I won this one. And Gracia Pathworking, also won that. Meaning of Witchcraft by Gerald Gardner, I haven't read that yet. Discovery of Witchcraft, The Witch's Shield. I love this book. I was referring to this for some protection herbs. Book of Candle Magic by Madame Pomita. This is a really sweet book and actually really helpful. The Cunning Man's Handbook, I recently picked this up and refer to it. Haven't read it all fully, cover to cover, and haven't read this either, Pharmacare, cover to cover either. So this is Adventures in Sex Magic. I read this recently and loved it. This is Damon Brand. It's quite a small book, very easy to read. A Lantern in the Dark and Lunar Nodes. These were from the Witches box. This is the SKT study journal for the latest edition, and I haven't really started working through this yet because I got overwhelmed. And this is the book of maps to go with that Revelation edition as well. Moon Spells, this was here just to refer to. Moon Magic again as well, because these are kind of staples that I really enjoyed, and it was a few years ago I read them now, so I'm like, have them here just to refer to. Crooked Path, I love this book as well. Last year I read this book, and yeah, it's fantastic. I would highly recommend this book. It was there again to refer to. Healing Power of Celtic Plants, I haven't read this. I picked this up in town at our local witchy shop, and it's there because it was a new book and I've not read it. And Protection and Reversal Magic by Jason Miller. I love this book. This is such a good book, and that's there because I feel like it's so important for me to dip in and out of it again and again and again. So I really, really think it's such a good book, and I would definitely recommend it as well for everyone to get. Such an important book. Finally, over here I have some journals. These are dream journals and some tarot journals and REIKI journals that I use. That kind of wraps up the books that are here, and yeah, I really need to get a bit more organised with this, I think. So I also found this one in Rosalie's room, and I moved those other little books that I saved for her from my bookshelf into her room as well, so she can use those. This is The Power of Crystal Healing. I picked this up on Amazon a few years ago, and I thought that she would really like it because of the large images of the crystals, and she has a few little tumble stones and some selenite and things like that, but I like that these include like really large pieces, and then she can sort of learn about them as and when she's able to. And she's just about to turn 7 this year, so she's still really young, but I think this is a really nice book for someone who's really new to crystals as well. I also wanted to share this book because I picked it up last Christmas as a second-hand book after I watched a video where Lennon Smith talked about this book, and I think she had this when she was younger. And I picked this up for my son, so he has this in his room, but it is just gorgeous, like so many beautiful illustrations and lots of information about myths and legends and different cultures, different creatures, like fantasy creatures and such. And the illustrations are just enchanting. It's really, really beautiful. Actually, they kind of remind me of Lisa Hunt's artwork, so it's really, really beautiful. Another book of my son's is this book by Kim Kranz, and he also has my Wild Unknown tarot deck now as well, so that's not even in my collection anymore. But I do love this book, and he adores this book as well. And for a while we were playing a game where we got the Wild Unknown tarot out with the deck, and we paired cards with different pages in the story, and it was just a really, really beautiful way to connect with the book and the tarot deck, and my son absolutely loved it. So that's another really magical book that my son has. Another book my daughter has is this Earth Child's Handbook, Crafts and Inspiration for the Spiritual Child. So she hasn't actually used this, I don't think, yet. But now she's a little bit older, I think I'd like to try a few of these crafts with her, especially as we come into summer. So that's really, really lovely. This is book 1, and I believe there are more. So Bridget Ashwood. My daughter also has got a book somewhere, like a child's almanac, and that's lovely. I can't seem to find it right now, so I thought I'd just share these with you. This is a beautiful copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland that I bought for Rosalie a couple of years ago, or last year I think. It's just like a really, really beautiful version. I think I heard about it on Foolish Fish's website, and obviously this is just a beautiful story and considered really like magical, so I thought I'd share that. Then The Secret Staircase from Brambly Hedge. This was one of mine when I was little, and I've always considered this to be so magical, so I thought I'd share it. I picked this up at university because I was doing a project where I was creating a set for a production, and I thought this book was really inspiring. So I picked this up, and it's really a magical version of The Princess and the Pea, and Rosalie loves it. Along the same lines, I picked up this Christian Lacroix book about Sleeping Beauty. So again, obviously Christian Lacroix is a designer, fashion designer, so this book is like incredibly beautiful and magical, and so I picked that up as well, and she has that in here. Then she has this complete book of Flower Fairies by Cecily Mary Bark. I used to love the Flower Fairies when I was younger. There's the Fairyality book in the other room as well. I want to give that to Rosalie, but not quite yet because it's a little bit grown up for her, that book. But this one is perfect. So lots of beautiful songs and illustrations, and I think this is just glorious. And then finally, Fairies, Elves and Goblins, The Old Stories by Rosalind Kirvan. This I don't think is really a children's book, but I thought that Rosalie might like to dip in and out of it, and I thought it might be a way to sort of like read some of the stories together. So far I think we've only read a couple, but I think she'll be interested to read more as she sort of grows up, and definitely if she doesn't want it, I want it. So it's a beautiful book, and yeah, very magical. And this one is Fairies, an Anthology of Verse and Prose. Again, I had this when I was younger. My mum purchased this for me and I just loved it. So beautiful, stunning. So a lot of different fairy books, so beautiful. Here, this is a bit of a mess. I have a lot of different books here. A lot of them are just cookery books. You can see there's Harry Potter down there for some reason. I think my daughter was playing with it. Lots of cookery books, and I do kind of consider them to be quite magical, and some sketchbooks and things there. And then I absolutely love these ones on top. The art of mixing, that's really awesome. And yeah, some really gorgeous books. I love the Mastering the Art of French Cuisine. Editing Emily here, and light isn't great because it's quite late at night, and I literally received these today. These are the latest Witches box books from the Witches book subscription, and this is a book you might remember seeing on my bookshelf because I read this 2 or 3 years ago now, and it's literally one of my favorites. So I'm planning to gift this to a friend, and this is The Way of the Water Priestess by the same author, Anwen Avalon. I absolutely love this book. Oh my goodness, I could not recommend this book enough. Really powerful, and definitely coming at it from like a Celtic tradition, and I've not read this one, so I'm really excited to like delve into this one. And then I also remembered there's one other book that I haven't shared with you, and that is a book that is on my altar at all times, and this is a common book of prayers and hymns, and this is got the Psalms in it, and this was my grandmother's, and I have this on my altar. I refer to it a lot. I work magic with the Psalms, I read the Psalms, pray with the Psalms, and I don't want to really get into the whole Christianity witchcraft debate because I would like to discuss it in another video, but I do work with Psalms in my practice and in my magic, and this is really special piece for me because it was my grandmother's. So I keep this on my altar space, and because I didn't share it, I thought I would just show you that now as well. I will leave a link for this Witches book box if it's available in the description box below as well, so if you want to go pick it up. And there's always the links to get the Witches book subscription and the Witches box subscription as well. But you can also buy the bundles individually if there is some left in stock. So yeah, that is about it. So I hope that you enjoyed taking a look at my witchy bookshelves and spiritual books, etc., and that this has been interesting. I know I did do a bookshelf tour a few months ago before I moved house, but that was not very organised, and I've also accumulated and read quite a lot more books since then, so it is a different collection now. It looks different, and there were also some books that were older that were in storage as well that you would have seen today that you didn't see then. So it's really nice to be able to present a bit more of a like full overview of the books, the way that they are, and the ones I'm specifically working with and such. I dare say if I continue on YouTube, which is what I hope to do, then I'll be doing these kinds of videos every year or so, and I do recognise at a certain point I'm going to have to start, you know, moving some books on, and there are a few books, you know, that I have planned that I want Rosalie to be able to have if she would like them and things like that. But at a certain point, yeah, there are some books that probably won't be utilised in my practice anymore, that, you know, just I've kind of absorbed the knowledge and they're not really being used, and potentially other people could be enjoying them. So yeah, that's something down the line. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing my bookshelves and that you enjoyed the video in general, and if you did, please don't forget to click the like button and share it with anyone who you also think would enjoy. And if you've been watching my content and enjoying and you're not yet subscribed, then please do think about subscribing, and while you're at it, don't forget to hit that little bell notification, because that's how YouTube is going to let you know when I create and upload videos like this. I also have an Instagram page, of course, and a TikTok, as well as a buy me a coffee page, so if you'd like to click through and see what I'm doing over on Instagram and TikTok, then please do. And if you'd like to donate a little bit of money to buy me a coffee to share your appreciation, that would be so lovely. Thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you stay well and safe, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video really soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.